Alright, Graphic Design 2, here we go. I'm going to go through this quick tutorial on how to utilize Gravit similar to Illustrator when recreating logos on our current project. So I'm going to come up to my browser and I'm going to log in to my Gravit Studio. Gravit Designer Online. As you see, I'm already hooked up and signed into my Gravit, so I press Start Now. And from the Start Now section, I'm going to click on Open from Computer because I've taken one of my 3 files, I've taken all 3 of them, and I've downloaded them to my computer. So I will open from Computer. I will click on my Denver Nuggets logo, press Open, and here we go. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I have some of the same functionality that we had in Illustrator. I can click on my zoom tool over here, or I can just click Z on my keyboard, and with that be able to zoom in on my logo itself. I can move my logo around by holding spacebar. That turns my cursor into a hand, so I can grab it and I can drag it. And then, as some of you have already played with our abstract typeface project, our layers are over here on the left hand side instead of on the right where they normally were. A lot of our windows are still over here on the right hand side, but our colors have switched from our toolbar to the right hand side over here. And then our toolbar, which is normally on the left hand side on Illustrator, is now on the very top. Okay. Some of the tools that we want to be working with, we have our shape tool, which is right here. We have our pen tool, which is next to it. They call it a path tool. And we have little drop arrows as well. Okay. Over here we have our arrow tool, which they call also the pointer. This is like our dark arrow, our selection tool, or our white arrow, our direct selection tool. So as I normally do, I'm going to stick with my direct selection tool for most of this tutorial, and then I will start getting to work on this, just kind of talk through it as I go. So I'm going to start off with my background. I'm going to make this kind of yellow ring on the background here. So I'm going to come to my shapes. I'm going to go to my ellipse tool. I'm going to click at the top of my shape and I'm going to drag straight down to make an oval. I will hold shift because shift will make it a circle. And you see my cursor still over the left hand side. I'm going to take that cursor all the way down to the bottom of my circle, which ends up making my circle itself be the exact size in terms of the height of the original shape. Once I have it over here, I'm now going to take the color and I'm going to change it to the same kind of gold color as the background of my Nuggets logo. So in doing so, with my shape selected already, you can see the bounding box around it, I will come down to fills, and I have this little white circle with my eyedropper. I'll click on the eyedropper, and that allows me to have an eyedropper selector, and I will come over to my yellow, select it. I'll go back to my white arrow, which is D is the quick key here, and I'll click and drag that and line that right up over the original piece. My layers over here, it's ellipse, and I will double click on it to change the name. I will call it gold background, and there we go. I can lock it and I can turn the visibility off as well. Let's see, as I'm looking at this, it's not selected, so I've renamed it and I'm good to go. I will lock this and I will then turn it off, and now I'll go to the next one. Now for the next one, this kind of crimson ring, I will do the same thing. I will unlock my layer, and I haven't been able to find a duplicate section, so what I'll do is I will just take my original yellow, I will hold Alt, click and drag, and now you see that has duplicated that. Okay, I'll click it back to its original spot. I have my gold background. I'll double click to change that name to, we'll call it Crimson. Just try to make sure it stays organized. And then I will lock and turn off my original gold. I will select this new shape. I will drag it in by holding Shift and holding Alt at the same time. And now that I have this right here, I will take my color select I will change this color, and then using my arrow again, my black arrow, I will hold Shift and Alt, drag this out, drop it to that spot. Do the same steps with this that I did with the gold. I will click and drag a copy. I will put it back in that center space. I will drag this down smaller, holding Shift and Alt. I will lock and turn off my crimson background. I will rename this one Navy. And then I will color select this Navy section. Take my arrow, hold Alt and hold Shift, drag this back out. And now you see if I turn off my background layer, I have my yellow, my crimson, and my navy. Very straightforward, very simple to do. I will lock that one as well. I will turn off the visibility in all these 3 layers. Off the visibility in the 3 of these. Turn this back on, and now I'm going to get to work on the rest of this stuff. I'm going to start off with the mountains, just because that's pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Z for my zoom tool. I'm going to zoom into these mountains, and this is very pixely, Mr. Renoso. Thanks for the horrible picture. I did this on purpose. It's going to help, so when I see your file, I can tell that you didn't just copy and paste this, but that you actually vectored it out, because your file should look a lot cleaner than this one does. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on this little mountain here. My mountain's going to be in 2 different shapes, 2 different colors, and they're going to overlap each other. So I'm going to start with my pen tool. Pen tool, I'm going to start right here at the very top. I'm going to click and release just like we would in Illustrator, and look at that. It works the same way. Click and release down here, click and release up here, click and release down here. See how it snaps right underneath it, which is very helpful for me. And then I'm going to come over here, click to the top of this, peak, come down here, an angle, come up here, and now I have this final white piece finished. Now as you can see, it's automatically putting a black stroke around my piece, which I do not want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my stroke color, and I'm just going to take the opacity down to 0. Just like that. I'm going to turn that layer off. That's called path. Let's name that one white. And I will turn that path off. I'll lock it as well just to be safe. And then I'm going to make a yellow that's going to overlap that path. So I'm going to start there. Come up to this top point. I'll come straight down. It kind of locks it for me, which is nice. I'll come up here to this top point. I'll come straight beneath this. I'm going to do some cleanup after the fact. Come here and then come over to this side. Same situation as before. I'm going to take this stroke, take the opacity down, and then with my fill color, I'm going to go right there. Now I'm going to name this gold. And now I have my gold shape, my white shape. Turn my white shape back on. Turn my bottom image off. So you can see what I'm working with here. So if I turn on my navy background, I can now see this mountain. And there's some issues that I need to fix. So I'm going to go to my zoom. Z. And this little peak up here is what I got to fix. So I'll do this simple enough. I'll take my select, go to my sub-select or my direct selection tool, and I will unlock these bad boys to start fixing these. I will click on my white shape, if I can. Are you unlocked? Yes. There's my white, and I'll click on this corner, and I'll drag that up, and there you go. It's a nice little fix. I'll fix this. I can leave that one there because it's overlapping, which is fine. This actually looks pretty good. Nice job. And then I will come down to the very bottom. That looks fine too. So I'll click back to my zoom. I will hold Alt to zoom out and then I'll be good to go. Okay, here's my logo so far. My crimson background, my gold background, and then I have my gold mountain. Okay, now let's start trying to I'll do one more thing to this, and then I'll let you do the rest on your own. Let me turn all of these layers off. I haven't been able to see, I don't believe it has the click drag function. This next one is just working with curves, which you've all done before. So let me jump right here, and I will go with my pen tool. I'll click and I'll drag while I hold my mouse, and you see that gives me my handles. Just like in Illustrator, I'll come over here and I'll click and drag, and then I can adjust these handles to where I want them to make my curve. A couple ways you can go about doing this. You can start here, then go directly down to this side if you would like. Come back over here. I'll go to the middle of this. Some of you can figure out what I'm doing right here. And I will come up back to this one, click and drag. I don't want to mess up this. Okay. Now this is a little bit different. In Illustrator, we would hold Alt to break off this handle, but instead what we're going to do is with your selection tool selected and the path selected, you're going to come over here to the right hand side to our appearance, and I'm going to change my joint. See, right now it has the asymmetric joint. I'm going to change it to a disconnected joint. By clicking the disconnected, that now allows me to click and drag my handle in like this. We've been here before. Now that I have this adjusted, I can play with my handles and make it go to the position I want it to be in. I can click over here, same thing, click on my disconnected joint, drag this around, and again readjust this handle and the anchor point to the point where I want it to be. You can also use your arrow keys to move these around if you would like. Let me come over here. I'll tighten this up a little bit. And then, once I get this where I want it, I will take my selection, my eyedropper. I will click on my color. That's my stroke. Haha, don't want to do that. Let me take that down to 0. Then I'll select my fill color eyedropper to there. And then I can start building the rest of this. The rest of this I will build with my pen tool, but I'll use straight angles. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep this one hidden. And there. Let me get my selection arrow, go like that. I'll turn on my gold and my crimson and my navy background. We're looking all right. Just a couple little changes I might tighten that up with, but you get the point. It's doing a pretty good job. I really want to change this part because it looks off. Okay. We can also do, we don't need to worry about blending them together when it's all said and done. So just show what you can. Down here when you work on the basketball, I am totally fine with you doing a white circle here, covering it with navy, doing a yellow circle, covering it with navy, and then putting navy paths over the top of this. How I can do those navy paths is I can just click, I'll hold shift to make sure it's a straight line. I'll go like that, and I might move both of these over slightly. So I'll click 1, hold shift to click the other. Can't really do that. I haven't been able to find anything that gives a snap to feature or turns it off. So I might have to make my whole shape first and then adjust it, but my lines are now off. So let me go like this. Okay, and then what I will do is I will take this stroke color, I will make it navy, and then I will take my 1 right here, and I will take that stroke up. And you see, in doing so, I have now changed the size of my stroke. Right in the middle there, it's kind of bugging me. But if I turn on my gold, you will see that I have this path that's down here. Ooh, drag that up above. There we go. And then when I put my crimson on and I turn my navy on, it disappears, obviously, because it's over the path. Okay, so that's what we got, guys. Good luck. Oh, when we turn this thing in, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go File. Don't go Save unless you have Drive already ready, Gravit Cloud ready. Even if you do have a Gravit Cloud ready, you might have seen already, you have to export it to get it to me. What we will do instead is if you go File, Export, and go to an SVG, you can export that to an SVG. That is what file you will turn into me. It's basically an AI. So that SVG will turn in. When I open it, I can see all of these little vectors, and we will be totally good to go. Okay? Hope that works out for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Check into my office hours from 10:35 to 11:35. If you need any hands-on help, I can walk you through some of this. And that's what we got. All right? Have fun. Good luck, and be creative.